Hey you guys, I'm back with another video. I just wanted to sit and have a cozy little chat since we are going into the Christmas season. It's getting cold outside. We actually have somewhat of a chilly day today in Alabama, if you can believe it. So I've got my cozy sweater on, I've got my blanket, and I just wanted to chat with you guys about the books that I plan to read for the holiday season. So I am very excited about this list. I have been kind of compiling a list of books throughout the year that I knew I wanted to get to for Thanksgiving and Christmas and just the wintertime in general. I'll have another video coming for what I want to read at the beginning of the year that will be more focused around just like really atmospheric winter books. But for this video, I wanted to go through everything I want to read for Christmas time, and it's a very ambitious list. So I'll have to come back and let you guys know which of these I get through, but I've got some historical fiction, I have a couple of cozy mysteries, a couple of YA fantasy books, one very special classic that I can't wait to read, and then a stack of romance novels, which at Christmas time is kind of a must. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it and see what I have on my list for November and December. Okay, so I was feeling festive and I had to go grab some hot chocolate. So I'm going to be sipping on this. I hope you have a drink that makes you feel good and festive too while we go through these books. So I think I want to start with our cozy mysteries, and this first one is not really festive, but it is kind of appropriate for the season since we're in the fall going into winter. It can be a little bit blustery and gloomy some days, and I found this on my shelf at the library. I had not heard of this series before, but I picked it up, and it is A Dark and Stormy Murder, a writer's apprentice mystery. And so I actually started this book. I'm kind of about halfway through it, and so far I really like this writing style. So it's by Julia Buckley, and it's very immersive. It really makes you feel like you're kind of in this seaside town. There's, storms, and obviously by the title, it can be very windy and blustery, and it's a perfect setting for a murder to take place. So this is actually about a woman who is a writer, but she is struggling. She's trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life, and she has always followed this author that she is obsessed with and loves all of her books, has read every single one of them, and one of her good friends lives in the same town as this author that she's crazy about, and they are actually in a knitting group together, and they get to talking, and her friend recommends that she be somewhat of an apprentice, but also like a ghostwriter for this author that she loves. And so the author calls her one day and says, "Will you please come live in my Gothic mansion? I will pay you lots of money and you can help me write this story." Now, you're not going to get any credit for it, but you can learn from me and kind of be able to pick up some tips and tricks to be able to put towards your writing. And so she moves there, and of course there's a little bit of a romance that's starting to form, but all the while she is having to try and solve this murder of a man that she sees on the beach face down one day when she's on the balcony of this beautiful Gothic house. And so it's very fun for this time of year, good setting. I'm really looking forward to getting to the end and seeing how it all kind of wraps up, but I'm glad that it's a series because I think with this character in particular, I'm really going to like to read more of what goes on in her life. Okay, so this next cozy mystery, I am so excited to pick up. I actually saw the second book in this series on the library shelf, and it was a Halloween theme. So like at Halloween, I was dying to grab it, but I didn't want to start the second book before I read the first one. I'm kind of weird about that because I don't want to miss any information about character development and those types of things, relationships that may have happened in the first book, and you start the second book and you don't know what's going on. So I waited until Christmas, and now I am so excited to start this book, and that is Apple Cider Slang, a cider shop mystery by Julianne Lindsay. And you know I'll be picking up the second book next fall, but I am so excited about this one. It looks so cute. You can tell by the cover with the sleigh in the snow. It's obviously very much a Christmas setting. But this book is about Winnie and her granny, and they have an apple orchard farm. It is struggling, and so they think, well, what if we come up with this idea to be able to bring in some revenues to help us hopefully be able to keep this place up and running? And so they come up with the first annual Christmas at the Orchard. And I'm excited to see what that entails, because I'm all about a little Christmas festival or a festival of any kind. But they come to find out that there is Granny's nemesis who ends up in the apple press. And they have to figure out how that happened. Her granny ends up becoming the one who's kind of put in the spotlight for maybe having committed this crime because of the fact that they were nemesis. But Jenny kind of has to go on this journey to figure out, how am I going to prove my grandmother's innocence, and also keep this place afloat. So I'm really, really excited to start this one. I think this may be like the first book that I pick up in December, one that I can't wait to read, and I'll let you guys know what I think. So like I said, I only have one classic on this list, but it is an absolute must read at this time of year. And I could have possibly read this book before, maybe like when I was in school, but I just really don't remember. I've seen, I think, every adaptation of the movie, and I've seen the play, and I just absolutely love this story, but I really wanted to read the book. And so I decided to pick up A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And I love the themes in this book. I love how, Scrooge really comes to find out that money is not everything. It can't bring you love. It can't bring you happiness and joy. That, you have to be kind to others, and, sort of the old golden saying of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I firmly believe in that, and I just love that this story is set at Christmas time, and he kind of comes to find out throughout the course of a night, looking at his past and his present and his future by way of three ghosts, kind of what he needs to do to change his life and turn things around and be a better person. So this is a great, sweet Christmas read, and one that I'm excited to pick up and actually read, by the great Charles Dickens. I have a couple of young adult books. One of them I know is fantasy. One of them I'm not sure about because I don't really know much about it. But the first one, I have started reading the Harry Potter series, and I've gotten through the first 2 books, and I have completed a small handful of series. Like, I've read Twilight, I've read The Hunger Games, I read The Maze Runner, I read Divergent, and I absolutely loved those. I loved being able to grab onto those characters and follow along with them over the course of multiple books, because you get connected and you don't want to have to give up those relationships because you love them so much. So I thought, as much as I love the Harry Potter movies, what if I just give it a shot and jump on the bandwagon and try to finish the actual Harry Potter series. So I've read the first 2 books, and now I'm on Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban by J.K. Rowling. I am about close to halfway through it. I love these books so much. They are whimsical, there is mystery, there's magic, there's found family, there's, learning about who you are, trusting in that, being true to that, and just kind of, a large theme in this is good versus evil. And I just love the fact that every single book continues on with the same relationships and the same storyline, as far as Harry Potter kind of coming to find out how he is the way that he is and what he has to do to beat evil in this story. But at the same time, every book has a very different event or things that happen, and it just keeps pulling you along. It is so good, and so I'm excited to finish this one. I've been watching the movies again after every book that I finish too, so I'm looking forward to rewatching this movie and then jumping into the next book right after this one. If you have a favorite Harry Potter book in the series, I would love to know which one is your favorite and why. So far out of the 3, it's so hard to choose, but I think I really love Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, just because it set everything up for me, and I got to find out who these characters were and got to experience them all meeting each other for the first time. I know there's a lot of story left, and I have honestly loved all 3 books so much, but I'd love to know if you have one in particular that's your favorite. This next YA book I picked up from a video that I watched last year from Darling Desi, and she recommended this one and said it was a really fun read. I do not know much about it, but she made me so intrigued by it that I thought I would go ahead and pick it up and try it out. And that is A Castle in the Clouds by, I think it's Kirsten Geyer. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but it just looks really fun, really feels sort of fantastical to me. It may not be that at all, but I am curious and it piqued my interest. I'll just read the inside to you because I'm not sure if many people are familiar with this book or not. I may be late to the party, but for those of you who don't know, it says Sophie Spark has her work cut out for her. As an intern at a grand European hotel, she has to deal with snooty guests and their mischievous children, handsome newcomers, and preparation for the famous New Year's Eve ball. So I may end up pushing this one to the end of next month so that it's timed appropriately. But unexpected problems keep arising, and some of the guests are not who they pretend to be. Sophie soon finds herself in the middle of a perilous adventure and at risk of losing not only her job but also her heart. Combining humor, thrills, and romance as only Kirsten Geyer can, A Castle in the Clouds is a feel-good read with lovable characters in an enchanting setting. So, say no more. I'm excited to read this one. It'll be fun to kind of go into it blind, not knowing much about it other than the fact that this girl works at a hotel and it seems like a really special place. So we'll see kind of what this story is about and whether or not I like it. Okay, moving into historical fiction, I have 3 books in this category, and the first one, I have to admit, I already read. It was the first holiday book that I picked up, and it was so good. It was so good. Probably gonna go in, I mean, it could be in my top 5. It's a novella, so it's not really a full-length book like I've been reading, but it could very possibly be one of my top 5 reads this year. It was another one that I picked up because of Darling Desi, and that is A Holiday by Gaslight, a Victorian Christmas novella by Mimi Matthews. And just look at this cover. It's beautiful. It's got this amazingly gorgeous red velvet Victorian gown, all the holly around the border, the snow in the background. It's like quintessential Christmas. And it's about a woman named Sophie Apperset, and she is attempting to marry someone of wealth and status in the community. And so she ends up in a courtship with a man who is a local London merchant, and he is very cold, hard to read, and she just isn't really jiving with his personality, and so she ends things with him. And the thing I love about this story is that you get both sides of their points of view. So it goes back and forth between Sophie and then Mr. Edward Sharp, and so you get to see what each of them are thinking, and you come to find out that he actually really was falling for her, but he was completely clueless about how to court her because he is not from a noble background. And so he picks up this book to try and figure out, how do you court a beautiful woman like this who's looking for someone that is, you know, of my stature but that I don't have any experience with. And it tells him in the book to, you know, be very standoffish and to make it very hard for her to know what you're thinking. And she didn't like that. She wants the exact opposite, someone who is very honest, very open, very emotional. And so, long story short, they end up together at her estate in the countryside for Christmas with her family and with a lot of other people because they have a big party. And they're sort of thrust into this close proximity situation where they are able to really get to know each other better, and they start falling very hard for each other. It's a very, very short read, and so this was one with my very expansive and very ambitious TBR that I have for the next 2 months. I got through it very quickly. It was like a one day, you could read this in one sitting easily if you had the time to do that. But it was just so immersive, so beautifully written, made me feel something for the characters in such a short amount of time. They have such good chemistry. They have a great banter. It's very witty, but they also have very, very strong feelings for each other that's written so beautifully. So it's something that I would absolutely recommend for this time of year specifically. So make sure that you get this one on your list for the month of December. This next book is from an author who I have not heard of before, but it sounds so good. It's one that I know 100% I'm gonna like this book. And I actually just found it through kind of like researching some good Christmas books to read that are specifically set during that time of year, during the winter time. And so I found this book, and it's called Home for Christmas by Courtney Cole. And it's about a woman named Piper McCauley who is going through a really hard time emotionally because her grandmother, who she was closest to and really the only person left in her life that was family, passes away. And she lives in Alaska, and she realizes after this that she's kind of reevaluating her life, and she's got to figure out, do I stay here? Do I at this point need to get out of Alaska and see the world and try to get my mind, past this and move on and be happy again? So her grandmother leaves her a compass, and so she decides to take that and go out into the world and leave Alaska. And so as she's leaving, though, she gets caught in this very, very bad blizzard and wakes up back in 1945 at the time when the original home was built that her and her grandmother were living in together in Alaska. And it sounds so intriguing. It's obviously got time travel in it. I'm not sure if there is a romance or a love interest in this story because I don't know anything about it, but it does sound like she gets the opportunity to go back in time and see her grandmother again, but in a very, very different way, and get to learn about who she was when she was growing up, why she became the woman that she was, that now, or that she admired so much before she passed away. And so I'm curious to see what happens, how she gets back, what she learns, but it just sounds like a very sweet, emotionally charged, I'm sure, story to read during Christmas time. So I'm really excited for this one. And then this last historical fiction book that I cannot wait to read, I got off a recommendation video from, actually many recommendation videos from Heather at Bookables, because she has recommended it for so many different reasons. Most recently it was on her video for like foodie type videos. And so it's one that I'm excited to read, especially right now going into Thanksgiving. I think this will be the next book that I pick up to read over the holiday week. And that is The Kitchen Front by Jennifer Ryan. And I do not know much about this book besides what Heather has mentioned, but I know that it takes place during World War II. It involves a baking competition. It says a novel of a BBC-sponsored wartime cooking competition and the 4 women who enter for a chance to better their lives. These 4 women are giving the competition their all, even if that sometimes means bending the rules. But with so much at stake, will the contest that aims to bring the community together only serve to break it apart? So I'm hoping that there is a lot of food references in this. I love the setting and the fact that it's about 4 really strong women. It's a really intriguing story to me, something that I have never read before, and so I'm really excited to pick this one up. Oh yeah. Who doesn't love hot chocolate with mini marshmallows? So now we're on to the romance, and this stack is large. I think I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books in this stack. We're going to kick it off with one that I don't know much about, and that is The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. And I know Jenny has many, many, many books. She's got series, she's got standalone books. This one I believe is a standalone novel. I'm going into this one blind. I'm not even reading the inside cover blurb because I just don't want to know anything about it. All I need to know is that it takes place in a bookshop at Christmas time. It looks so quintessential. Who wouldn't want to go into that bookstore? I have a feeling that this may have something to do with saving a bookstore or working in a bookstore, or I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm excited to read it. And I think this one will be a very sweet one to pick up for the Christmas time. And if I like it, I will absolutely be picking up other Jenny Colgan books. This next book is actually a Hallmark Channel Christmas movie that came out a handful of years ago at this point. And when I saw this book at my library bookstore, I was like, yes, I have to pick that one up. It's very short and it's one that I'm excited to read, and that is Pride and Prejudice and Mistletoe by Melissa de la Cruz. It's about a woman named Darcy and a man named Luke, and they used to be next door neighbors. They were bitter rivals. He very much annoyed Darcy, and she ended up becoming this really successful woman and does not particularly like to have to travel back home even at Christmas time if she can help it. But then her mother falls ill, and so she decides that she's going to travel back home, and of course runs into the one and only Luke Bennett. And it's a take on Pride and Prejudice, obviously. So it's one that sounds really fun. There's probably going to be a lot of witty banter, probably some tension between the two, a romance, I'm sure, that happens. And so it's one that I feel like will probably be really good and a very, very quick read to get through at this time of year. Okay, so you guys have heard in my past videos that I am a huge fan of Outlander and just Scotland in general. It is at the top of my bucket list. I have to visit there before I die, multiple times if possible. And so when I saw this book, I absolutely had to have it. And my wonderful, beautiful mother bought it for me for my birthday. So thank you, Mom. And I'm so excited to pick this one up. And that is Christmas in the Scottish Highlands. And it is by Donna Ashcroft. And it's about a woman who lives in a town called Christmas in the Scottish Highlands. And she is not a super happy person in the beginning of the story. She is, looking to hopefully find true love, which is something that she's always longed for. And I would guess, based on what I've read on the back, is somewhat of a romantic at heart. And she ends up being out one day and running into an old woman on her cherry red bicycle, and it says it's not the meet cute she had been hoping for, but she immediately recognizes the lost look in Edna's watery blue eyes and resolves to organize a Christmas to remember for both of them. So I'm sure that there is a budding friendship that happens in this book. I don't know much about it. I really kind of want to go into it as far as like what the general plot line is blind. And I just kind of want to jump right in, but it does say brimming with mince pies, mulled wine, and lots of sparkle. Although Belle hadn't counted on Edna's home being a crumbling Scottish castle, and she certainly hadn't been expecting Edna's handsome, long-lost grandson, Jack Hamilton Kirk, to turn up on the doorstep in the middle of a snowstorm, and then it goes on from there. So, I mean, snow, Scotland, romance, friendship, searching for love, figuring out who you are. Every single thing sounds wonderful in this book. So I cannot wait to read it. I think this one is going to probably be at the top of my list for books read during the holidays this year. Okay, this next book I am in the middle of. I'm actually buddy reading this with my sister right now, and we are both loving it. The writing is so good. I messaged her yesterday and said, there was one scene where they were baking in a kitchen, and I told her I literally felt like I was in the kitchen with these characters baking and talking. It's like sitting there with my elbows up on the counter and just like chit-chatting away. It really like pulls you in the way that this author writes. And so it is such a unique story. I think to me this sort of sounds like a Hallmark movie in book form, and I'm a sucker for Hallmark movies. So I picked up The Christmas Wager by Holly Cassidy, and I had not heard of this author before. She is new to me and will absolutely be an author that I pick up more books from. And I think my sister will attest to that too. But this is a story about a woman named Bella and a man named Jesse. And Jesse's grandfather has this shop that's been in the family. It's a Christmas shop for decades. And Bella comes to town as a realtor and wants to buy the shop from Jesse's grandfather. Well, Jesse says, absolutely not, I'm putting my foot down. This has been in the family too long. And if my grandfather won't say it, then I'm going to say it. And you're not taking the shop from us. So they end up putting a little bet on it. And this town, which sounds absolutely magical, it's called Maple Falls, and they have something every year called the Holiday Games. And so they basically make a wager that if she wins the Holiday Games with the team that she joins, then she can buy the store, and she can buy the store at the bare minimum price that she wants to. And then if he wins with his team, and they're both team captains on each of their teams, then he gets to decide the price, which he kind of comes to terms with the fact that the shop has to be sold, but he's going to go for the highest dollar amount that he could possibly get to help his grandfather. So they go through these games. I just got through the first game, and it was such a fun idea. And of course it had a plot twist in it that I was not expecting. And I'm excited to keep going and seeing what kinds of games that they play. It seems like this town is really serious about their holiday games. And it takes place the 5 days leading up to Christmas, and it all comes to a culmination at the end on Christmas Eve when there is the Maple Falls run where the team captains have to do a foot race and I think like an obstacle course. And these two are very, very competitive. They both have end goals in mind, but they're also trying to deny the fact that they have feelings for each other. So of course that kind of elevates the competition between the two of them. So far this is a 5 out of 5. I'm loving it, and I can't wait to finish it, and we'll let you guys know what I think. This next book, again, I don't know anything about. I just was doing research and gathered up a whole bunch of really festive Christmas reads, and so this one is a new one to me, and it's called You Make It Feel Like Christmas by Toni Shiloh. And I know it's about a woman who I think is kind of down on her luck. She's single, she's jobless. She goes home for Christmas to attend her sister's very, very festive Christmas Eve wedding to her ex-boyfriend, which is just the cherry on top. Her brother's best friend ends up coming to the family Thanksgiving, and she starts to wonder if maybe going home for Christmas was not such a bad thing after all. So it sounds cute. It's obviously like a down on her luck story, and then she luckily, right place, right time, ends up being home at Christmas with her family and possibly meeting someone that she could have feelings for. So again, this is a short read and one that, looks super cute, obviously with the Christmas tree and the snow. And so I'm excited to be able to pick this one up really soon. And then this very last book that I have is one that I've had my eye on the entire year. This was actually a book of the month choice, I think last year or the year before, I can't remember, but it was pre my book of the month time, and so I didn't get a chance to partake in that, and so I actually snagged this one from my library, and that is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. And I know I've heard that these authors are very, very good. Their writing style is infectious. and that the characters that they write are so good. And so I don't know much about this story other than the fact that it's like a Groundhog Day at Christmas time, where a woman relives the same day over and over again, I'm sure, until she learns a lesson and is able to change her ways. The inside cover, I think, said something like "One Christmas Wish, Two Brothers." Well, we'll just read it. Let's take a little look real quick. One Christmas Wish, Two Brothers, and a Lifetime of Hope are on the line for hapless Malin Jones in A Holidays, a quintessential romantic holiday novel. I mean, say no more. This is one that I know I'm gonna like. I really enjoy, whether it's in written form or movie form, sort of the repetitive days or experiences in order to learn something and move forward. So it sounds like it has romance too. I love when it has brothers. That's a big trope that's kind of at the top of my list for romances. So I'm super excited to read this one, and I think it will be a great one to add to my festive reading list. Thank you guys so much for joining me and listening to the books that I am very excited and looking forward to reading for Christmas and Thanksgiving season. And I look forward to seeing you guys the next time. I hope to be back much quicker this time with another video with the wrap up on some of the books that I read lately, because I know it's been a little while since I've talked to you guys about some of the books that I've read. So I will be back very soon. If I don't see you before Thanksgiving, I hope that you and your family have a very warm and loving and blessed Thanksgiving, and I will see you very soon. Stay cozy.